Hi folks! Can you hear me? Yes. Just as well, really. I'd like to thank Chris. That was really interesting, and it shows that actually what we're working for in terms of democracy is going around the country, and other parties are looking at it as well, not just ourselves. And it is important in the future that our voters get the representation that they deserve, even if it means getting me. Thanks again for inviting me here. It truly is an honour. I always love coming to conference, especially the regional ones, because you meet people you haven't seen for ages and they say, "Where's that 5-year-old?" But it's always brilliant, and I've got to say the view from this is the best of any conference venue I've ever been to. Marvellous, isn't it? I didn't want to come back in. I was off out to the beach. But today I've got to talk to you about one of the biggest issues facing our nation, and particularly it's an issue here in the Southwest, which is housing. When people talk about the quality of life dropping because of the various pressures put upon us by globalisation, immigration, insecurity of unemployment so far, they tend to talk about things like the NHS or policing, schools, and too little attention is paid to the dreadful housing crisis that we're all subject to. Now, my new role as housing spokesman for UKIP is to bring this to the front of our national debate, and I intend to do so in my usual forthright manner. Now, Shelter, the housing charity, is 50 years old this year. Why is the work that Shelter does still needed here in the United Kingdom in the 21st century? And that's as much an indictment of the old parties as anything else you'll see. Now Shelter put out a report saying that 49% of all private tenants reported poor housing conditions in the previous year. The time's come to change how we live and how we're housed. A child who lives in a clean and warm home will obviously be a healthier and happier child. So let's make our kids healthier and happier. Shelter proposed a change to the recent Housing and Planning Act to ensure that rented accommodation is fit for human habitation by simply updating the existing law so that the cost of those properties covered is in line with modern day costs, so that tenants can bring landlords to court if need be to force them to make their housing fit to live in. But the political establishment voted it down because they don't care. Now, the Southwest has particular issues. For a start, wages are significantly below the national average here. And according to the National Housing Federation, people in the Southwest need a 135% salary increase to afford a home. Only those earning £58,527 a year and above can get a mortgage for the average home in the region. And the average wage here is £24,934. Sorry for all those numbers, I expected that, I'd forgotten. Well, why is the crisis so bad here? Well, last year, fewer than 19,000 homes were built in the Southwest. With our spiralling population and the lack of building, as well as the fact that 1 in 5 of the UK's second homes was here in this admittedly beautiful part of the world, we need a massive house building programme to ensure that ordinary people have a chance of a decent roof over their heads. Again, according to Shelter, and I'm not just nicking their stuff, something I love it myself, 89% of people in the region cannot afford to buy a new built home. And I got one statistic here. It's estimated that the likelihood of a nurse being able to afford their own home here in this region 10 years after qualifying is less than 30%. Now, it cannot be right that we are punishing some of the hardest working, most dedicated people in our country. Now, this situation, it's caused not just by immigration, but by speculative development, where house builders are banking land to reduce the availability and thereby push up the prices. We need to break this. We need to enable councils to start building quality homes for ordinary people to live decently in, instead of in squalor and poverty, paying private landlords more than it would cost to buy a home if the mortgages were available to them. Now, of course, not all private landlords are modern-day Ratmans. No one's saying they are. But the lack of decent municipal housing stock will encourage this. At present, councils cannot build because the only money available for them to do it is from incoming rent, and they have simply no money to do it. I believe we can break this. The way to do it is to allow councils to borrow money at the present historically low rates, secured against the future rents, and build decent homes for ordinary local hard-working people and for our veterans, as was said earlier. Give our young people a chance to build a secure family home for themselves and for their children. There's no risk to this. The rents will pay for the loans. And you know what? It'll also help with jobs. The South West is short of an estimated 41,000 skilled tradesmen to build homes. Let's give people training and apprenticeships in real jobs. Let's give free skills training to veterans as they leave the military and get young people into jobs where they can earn a living. So what do? Well, we make a start by demanding that housing is provided for local people in genuine need. Over 100,000 people applied to local councils for homelessness assistance. In 2015-16, that's an 11% rise in 5 years. What's so wrong that the fifth biggest economy in the world cannot look after housing its own people in the 21st century? Now, we know that the unlimited flow of migration into this country exacerbates this issue, and in fact, in some ways, it's the major part of it. So we must regain control of immigration, and without doing so, we can never, ever ensure we have enough homes. It's like trying to fill a leaking pot. It's got to stop. We must also ensure the homes are built to a standard and a size that are acceptable, so that ordinary people like ourselves can live decently. The laws that do so have been put in place many times over the last century, but the other parties always find an excuse to rescind them. Shelter talks about civic house building, a method of ensuring that we don't simply go for the lowest common denominator and load up with shoddy, jerry-built homes and dreadful tower blocks that aren't fit for a dog to live in. Did you know the Tudor Waters Report of 1917, exactly 100 years ago, mandated local authority house sizes bigger than the average size of new built homes today? Now, with the advances in modular housing, we can build them cheaply, quickly, by British companies. British companies are the ones who are in the forefront of making these. Now, the restrictions placed on building and the subsequent land banking by the massive property developers is forcing prices to rise to insane levels. The cost of land is now 70% of the cost of a new house. That's up from 25% in the 1950s. And when you see statistics like that, you have to ask who benefits. And the answer is, as always, the powerful developers, the landowners, and their lapdog political parties. We must bust these laws, which only favour the rich, so that we can all have homes that are livable. It's been calculated that if inflation had gone up by as much as house prices since 1971, then the chicken from the supermarkets had now cost £51. As Winston Churchill said, some chicken. In a different context, obviously. we must ensure that we restart our council house building programme, so people who are struggling to make their way can live somewhere decent. We must also ensure that laws are put in place so that those who live in private rents are protected, and where landlords fail to maintain the properties to a decent standard, they can be taken to court and forced to do so. There's no excuse for treating people like animals in our civilization. We must stop this. You need a license to open a cafe, but not to provide housing. This has to stop. Now, while right to buy legislation has helped many people to get on the ladder, every home sold should have been replaced like for like. There must be no pulling up the ladder. Our sons and daughters should have, at the very least, the same life chances as ourselves. I realise realise I've been going a bit quick, so you haven't had the chance to get in and applaud me, but I'd have been in trouble if I'd have. Now, governments have a duty to their people above all else. Before they send billions abroad in foreign aid or end some pointless wars that simply cause our brave service people to die in foreign lands for causes that have nothing to do with us, their duty is to give their own people the ability to live a safe and secure life. Safe, affordable, decent housing must be a part of that commitment. Now, Brexit gives us a chance at a clean slate. Let's make sure we take advantage of it by building a better Britain in every sense. Let's build homes fit for Britons. Thank you very much.